All right, this is Rachel. This is All Our Problems podcast, an Arnold's Candy sponsored podcast. I got my husband here, Griffin,
Hello, I'm Griffin.
the husband.
That's me.
And our special guest, Jeremy Caudill, boss man.
Yeah, man. Listen, I am pumped that I'm your first guest.
Yeah.
I love the name.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
If
There's
you're-
always problems when it comes to business.
Yeah.
So I love it, man. You
That's
guys
the
nailed it.
point. And if you're listening to us for the first time, congratulations. You can say you knew us before we were cool. So
It's in everybody's first
it's only
time.
up from here. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, all right, let's jump into it. Can we start with OCW? I mean, we love wrestling. So
Sure. Yeah.
what inspired you?
Well,
got you
OC,
there?
it's funny because if you go back, I would always get kind of stuff floating by my desk all the time. And
Okay.
back then, it was like 2016. My son just loved pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And something came across my desk. It's like, oh, wow, look at this, son. We could buy a pro wrestling company for $6,000. And I'm like, I was looking at it. It had the ring, the lights, the smoke, the name, it's been around. And it was all the way
Yeah.
down in like Coshocton area.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there and, my son, man, he was young then. And I said, hey, my son, I said, you want to buy this at $6,000? I said, we could do it together. I said, I don't know anything about it. And so that's kind of
Jump
where
into it. Yeah.
it took off. And I'm sitting there going, well, if we can't figure out how to make it work, we're going to have some killer birthday parties.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At least you have
I've
another
been-
ring,
Yep.
the lights,
Yep.
smoke, every kid's dream growing up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was awesome. And so that's kind of where it took off. And then we got to introduce some people in the wrestling business. And, once that happened, it kind of really took off. from there.
Snowballed. Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, how does one just have a wrestling business come across their desk? You get in the mail, in the newspaper? What?
No. So the year before that, usually every summer I try to do something cool with my son when he got off school.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of followed around the WWE. And they were
Okay.
all around Ohio. So they hit Indiana, Washington, and all these states. So we actually did that for about a month and a half.
That's awesome.
And somebody seen us doing that.
Yeah.
And they were in the wrestling business. And, they were looking for sponsors or an investor. They didn't want the company to go under after so many years. So.
Yeah.
so
So
they-
how many years is it this year then?
So I bought it in 2016, and before that, I think it was 82 or 83 is when it started. So we're like one of the oldest promotions in Ohio.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
especially
Yeah.
going back to the days when they had the territorial ones. They have all
Yeah.
the small little ones that are still like around, but not as big as they were. So, I mean, it's good to see at least some of that legacy still lives on, especially locally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Backwoods wrestling.
Oh yeah, it goes. It goes back the history of it. Like if we go down to Southern Ohio, we could probably go down there and have a show right now. I mean, they're dying
That's
for us to
awesome.
come back
That's so
down
awesome.
there. So
Do you have plans on it?
we go down to the Guernsey County Fair.
Mhm.
We usually do that fair. That's pretty far down there. One thing with it, I gotta love going to this fair.
I'm thinking
Nothing
about
about the
packing
Guernsey
up.
County Fair. I mean, you'll see everyone walking around with these big cups of pop, the big gulps or whatever.
Okay.
Right.
If you take the top off of any one of these, there's a Busch Light can in there with the straw.
Okay.
it's-
Okay.
So, I mean, down there, we actually need real security. I mean, that's
yeah.
the fans
Yeah.
are off the chart. Their kids are off the chart. I
Yeah.
mean,
And then by showtime at 7:00, they're a little
oh yeah, that's great.
ready
man.
for
Oh,
some wrestling.
They're
Yeah.
They're,
That's-
they're definitely into it down there.
That's really where it pays for wrestling, is getting the fans involved. And
Oh yeah, that's it, man. That's everything. You
Yeah.
get them emotionally attached, and
Then you
that's
break
it.
their hearts left
Yeah.
and right every time.
so do you think you'll get more into the wrestling yourself? I mean, I know you do a little spotlight here and there, but
Yeah, I mean, I would like to. I mean, since I started, there's been lots of drama, like in the wrestling business. Matt knows a little bit about it. I mean, I've had some wrestlers so pissed off with me,
Boss man, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, like right now, like Jimmy Shane. I mean, he thinks that he runs all this. He thinks he runs OCW. I mean, he's nuts. He was there since the very beginning. And when I actually bought the company, there was certain things in this contract that they wanted to stay in the contract. And Jimmy Shane was one of them. He was there from the very beginning. He was one of them that was pitching me. And I didn't read through, everything to where I can't get rid of his ass now.
Gotta read the
matter
contract,
what you do.
man.
Listen, I'm just thinking I'm going to have cool birthday parties. Now it's up and running, and we're killing it.
Yeah.
Now,
It's a train that won't stop now.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Yeah, damn Jimmy Shane at the last one, he broke in my house over there at Beach Bash. He was up there going through my refrigerator, left beers out everywhere.
Oh.
Did he just leave you a few full beers while he was there, or did you drink them all?
I can't wait to slap the piss out of him.
I can't wait to watch it.
Wait.
So, do you have a time and a place of where that might be going down so we can put it aside?
It's going to go down here fairly quick because I don't know how much more I can take it. So,
settle it in the ring.
Yeah.
Maybe out of the ring too. A little unsanctioned.
But,
never know.
I mean, the Ohio and then from there we started. It was Spinebuster University, and we were like one of the only local, pro wrestling academies around. So we'd teach how to be a valet, a wrestler, a referee.
That's awesome.
So,
I could be a referee.
You think?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
you
would.
think
I
could.
would love to see that.
Well, they run over. They're just like, "You doing okay? Did that actually hurt you, or are you good?" And then just run off. That's most of their job.
You'd be surprised. Right? The refs, I mean, they run a lot of. I mean, the show. I mean,
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They do a lot.
They gotta make sure the pacing's right. They gotta make sure they have their spots correct. Make sure everything's in the way. They're keeping guys safe.
They do a lot.
They're trying to make sure nobody's getting hurt. Everybody's going to go home on time and make sure the next match starts on time. I mean, there's a lot behind the scenes.
Listen, he knows his wrestling.
Oh, seriously. That's what I'm saying. I'm like the guy of OCW here. We got to have a conversation because
we have a lot of conversations about wrestling.
Yeah.
We're talking. I would love to start like a podcast like behind the behind the ropes or behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Pro wrestling because it's the pro wrestling, it's such a blend on what's real and what's not.
You really got to blur. You got to blur that line sometimes. With like, are they still telling that story, or is this it's personal now?
Yeah, is
like you and Jimmy Shane now. Like it's personal. It's personal now.
Jimmy Shane and I,
It went from being business to being like, okay, now we're personal.
Yeah, exactly. And it was about a year ago. We were over at Chaparral's, and a lot of guys are doing stuff behind the scenes. I think it was DD Trash. He's the mobile home wrecker.
Okay.
And they were getting into a big fight, and then they got in a fight backstage. And actually, the show was over, and here they come. They got another fight when the show was over, like in the. Everyone's leaving the building.
They're missing the best part.
I mean, they're throwing, there goes the trash bags. I mean, they're throwing crap at each other. And next thing you know, one of the fans called the cops. So the cops ended up showing up.
What?
And I'm trying to get people out the door. The one cop, I ended up knowing him. He's like, "Oh, you Jeremy? Oh, yeah, right. You know what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, you're here. Why don't you put him in handcuffs,
Can you handle this? Because
can somebody get this under control?
Right, yeah. But you never know what's going to happen in wrestling business. It's
absolutely.
It's a fun business. I'm glad I got into. And
all because you just wanted cool birthday parties.
Yeah, that was about it.
So back to your son. I mean, you guys got this real estate thing going on. I'd love to hear more about that because, I mean, obviously you've got Melanie Lake and everything like that too, but real estate is really what I'm interested in currently for myself. I know Griffin and I are kind of thinking about that. So
yeah, and even like before you get into that, like how'd you start into real estate? Because I've heard from a couple little Tweety birds around that there's some. I
mean, pretty much real estate is pretty much what I do. I mean, that's
right.
Buying Kim Tam over there, that was a real estate play. Ramones, That was a real estate play. You know,
So-
11,000 square feet for 200 and some grand. I mean, that's like
No brainer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a no brainer.
When you bought Melanie Lake, did you intend to keep it as Kim Tam, and how did that work? Because I know the name change was kind of something there for a minute.
Yeah. A lot of people, they don't know about what happened with the name change. So
yeah.
So I bought Kim Tam, and we had the first year, it went great. I mean, we had like a first 90-degree day, and people just started flooding in. I'm like, I don't know anything about the swimming business.
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
Right.
I better
Yeah.
get with it.
You're like, I'm going to be a lifeguard today, I guess.
Right. I'm like, so they were just coming in. So I'm like, wow, okay. So the swimming business, could be a real
Yeah.
business. And my intention was the real estate because I wanted to make it my house.
Okay.
to
Yeah,
live
because I
there.
mean, you live there now still.
Yeah, now I finally got to live there now. It's awesome. But I don't even know where I'm going with it. What was I saying here?
How you came to Melanie Lake name change?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the Melanie Lake name change. So we had the Halloween thing. And as you know, some people, the lawsuit popped up and everything.
Mhm.
And then I was using Kim Tam, and I bought that. That was in the contract itself. And half the family wanted it, and half the family didn't want me to use it. It was a mess. Like their family, it was their real kids, their grandkids, and their stepkids, and
Too many.
they were all fighting,
Yeah, too many
all
people at the
stealing off
table
of
there.
each other. I ended up buying it from their stepkids. So like in
Really?
this trust and stuff. Yeah. So that's how I ended up getting it. So then they started suing me for using the name, but I'm like in another lawsuit at the same time. So I'm like, well, let me just pick my battles here.
Yeah,
And
talk about
Right.
problems.
so I won.
mean,
Yeah, right. And just
How
name
was
me your
it-
podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
How was it really for you in your mindset? Like, take yourself back to that time of those two lawsuits are right up against you. Like, really, what were you doing during that time period? Were you like, I'm good, I'm confident going forward, I'm fine? Or were you a little bit like,
No,
got
I
two
knew
lawsuits on me.
I knew it was like all BS lawsuits.
Okay.
Yeah, they were total BS. But the thing is, you have to defend yourself.
yeah.
If you don't, they get a
Absolutely.
judgment, and so
Oh man, headache. Talk about a headache.
it turned out where they found out, any lawyer will take any case, as soon as they think you have money,
Yeah.
and then they found out they didn't really have much of a case. So they went back to the people and said, well, you're going to need to pay us a couple grand now to keep going. Guess what happened?
Dismissed.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that. So
Yeah, I think that's a thing people don't realize is like a lot of people use that as a scare tactic in business. Specifically, I feel like people, they look at businesses and entrepreneurs or people who are the face of a company, and they're like, if I'm wronged, lawsuit, and they're so quick to it. But you do have to have an argument going into it. You can't just.
oh,
he
yeah,
say,
I
she
mean,
say.
yeah, I mean, just this year, we bunch of lawsuits threatened over pets, over if they're I learned all kinds of stuff about dogs this year. About what do you call them dogs that are
The service animal.
the service, but there's different
Oh,
ones.
okay.
There's a service animal or an
Therapy
animal
dog.
that makes
Emotional
emotional support animal. So
Yeah.
so there's different regulations between both of those, and somebody calls it one, but it's not that one, and then that's a
One
mess.
can be
I'm
there,
like,
one can still, you can tell them not to bring pets.
yeah, right.
So what specifically is bringing that into your daily life right now? The service animals versus what you got
Well,
going on?
Well, I was actually on that road trip on the
Yeah.
Harley going across country, and our general rule of thumb is we don't allow pets.
Yeah.
It's a swim park. The pets, it doesn't make
Too
sense
much
in there.
risk with
But
the
we do have
kids,
days where
yeah.
you can bring your pets,
Yeah.
and so I wasn't there. My mom's pretty hard line on it, and she was running the place, and she told the guy no, and then he made a big deal about it and called the
Oh.
cops, and then called other people. Everybody showed up, and then they called me. Luckily, my phone wasn't working very good. I was somewhere, and then it just kind of escalated from there. And I
So
ended
really-
up talking to the guy, and he wanted us to have like classes on
Okay.
stuff. So
That's a good compromise. Better than getting sued, honestly. I
right,
mean, yeah, that's probably a lot, though. I mean, I think a lot of problems for business owners is a lot of people want to ask for your advice or they need your direct answer. So they really don't know, can I make this decision by myself? Or if they're acting on your behalf, they might be a little bit misinformed or it's a miscommunication and it just snowballs. I feel like that's a lot
yeah.
of problems that come up for us. I mean, we'll tell employees something, and then Nicole will go and tell employees something else, and then they've got 3 different people telling them 3 different things. So then they're confused too. So I mean, that's a hard part of business ownership is communication. So how do you manage that? I mean, people need you 24/7 with all those businesses.
we usually try to have kind of like a standard operating procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of I was in the military, so I kind of like to keep that format going.
Yeah, I love policies for everything. Policies for everything. That'll save your
But
day.
it's amazing how many things don't fall within that policy.
Yeah.
You
And
think
then
you
it
have
happens
everything
once.
covered. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh.
Wish I had
did-
that written a month ago.
Say,
Where did
you have a
this
little
come
amendment,
from?
You have a little
Right.
amendment put in there. You're like, okay, well, this also is
Yeah.
included within here.
Right.
In the fine print, you'll see now it also includes this. Man, that's crazy though. That's a lot coming at you.
Yeah, but also going on your real estate stuff, like, I know you can't talk about,
Yeah.
Kim Tam and stuff like that, but like what other,
Mainly my bread and butter was always like single family homes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was at one time I probably owned, I think at the largest I've ever been, I had like 100 single family homes
Oh, wow.
as rentals. I had 2 mobile home parks, 230 storage units, and a car wash.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
And you
a lot
was
were
of real
like,
estate,
I
yeah.
that
should
was
sell
right
some of that off.
before that was right before 2008. So yeah, that 2008's a pretty unique situation too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
How did you navigate that, holding all that
especially having all that
property?
going into
Yeah.
the housing crisis.
oh,
Listen,
what I learned
Mm-hmm.
when 2008 hit, if you own, say, if you owe a bank a couple $100,000, 300, 400, it's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you owe a bank 3 million, 4 million, it's the bank's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming
yeah.
to you. They're like, yeah, they're coming to you. Mr. Caudill, what can we do to, do you have a plan?
How
I'm
can
like,
we
how can we help? How can we help
yeah,
you?
Okay.
yeah, my plan is this, but you have to loan me another 40 grand. You hate to say it, but then, yeah, and then, yeah,
Yep.
and
That's
I made
brilliant,
it through
though.
it. I did. There was,
Stress, hard days there.
yeah,
I'm sure.
you can't learn that stuff in college.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
There's-
where I'm at. Yeah, I
there's-
feel
you
like
can't learn
anything I've learned in a classroom setting, like we've gone past that now in our business, and so now I'm like, I got to start learning from something.
Well, I think
so.
a lot of people can teach to a textbook, or you can go get that the education, which is great, but also at the same point, until you have those life experiences,
Oh, yeah.
so many
Oh,
different things
my
are going to
gosh,
change.
yeah.
The curveballs are going to come
Oh,
in, and then
just-
suddenly you're like, well, I didn't get taught this in class, and you're just trying to make it happen. But
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
Just constant like curveballs thrown at you. I mean, constant.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you wake up, you just gotta get ready for battle.
Yeah.
I mean, especially
Yeah.
when you're that size. I mean, I had like 30 people on payroll back then. I
Yeah.
mean, it was insane.
That's a lot of headaches there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I forgot. It was some crazy number. I had to like make like 60 grand a month just to break even or something.
yeah, just for
Oh, yeah.
payroll, and that's
yeah.
Yeah,
and
it was
that's
up there.
That's
I'm
always a
like,
big thing too. If you have employees, you have businesses, and suddenly you're looking at payroll, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're selling for this." I'm like, "Yeah, but then within that price that I'm selling X for, I have A,
Yeah.
B, C, and D that all go into that,
Yeah.
and I'm maybe
Yeah.
breaking even on this, maybe making a few bucks, but also like that's going to go right back into something else that's going on."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And payroll is your most expensive thing. I mean, at least for me, payroll is my biggest expense because really that's the value, especially in our business, is in the people. They're making the candy, they're the crafts, like they are the trained professionals, and we're just trying to keep the wheels turning for them. So machinery and equipment, people calling off, that's where we come in. And director of operations comes in and they come and problem solve. Like 24/7 entrepreneurship is problem solving
Yeah,
all
right.
day.
That's it.
Decision making, problem
Yeah,
solving.
I mean, if I could spend 2 hours a day on figuring out how to make money, it'd be huge.
Yeah.
But
oh,
I mean, 2 hours
yeah.
a day is actually good. It's usually 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, figuring and putting out fires.
Yep. Sometimes
like-
I'll have to set time aside and really put my headphones on, lock the doors, and I'm like, seriously, I'm not getting up from this table until I'm done with this task, because it'll go 3 weeks without getting done. I mean, stuff comes up every day.
See, I've always been a fan of you guys too, man. Ever since you guys spoke at what was that, the Rotary meeting and stuff?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
How you could come right in there and fix those machines. I mean, those machines are what?
100 years old.
I mean,
very
we have
old.
quite a bit of old machinery there. That
German machinery too. So I mean, your on and off switch doesn't say on and off. You know.
Right. I mean, that's amazing that.
Yeah,
you can go in there. You have that engineering background.
Yeah. Well, learning
do
curve too. I mean, it's different when you're learning in school. Just like we said, you go in real life, you look at a machine in real life, and you're like, wow, this is looking different. On paper, it's a different world. And these machines are from the 1960s, 1970s, 80s. I mean, they're old German,
it's not older than that. Yeah.
Yeah, European machinery and equipment. So we've got an awesome neighbor. We call on him all the time. And so he'll come over, kind of give a spiel of, I think this is wrong and I think this is wrong. And so if I can't put it together, yeah. So if I can't do it, call up the welder.
And I'm so happy she has an engineering background, because for me, mechanics and meat does not make sense. I can go to food shows and talk to as many people as you want me to, and I can have those conversations. But this is broken.
Yep.
It all to me looks the same. So something's not working in there. So.
Yeah. So we try, but sometimes it is out of our realm.
I mean, and you guys are in a weird situation because you just can't go out and buy another one of these.
No,
I mean, these are like specialty deals here.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
well, most people can go out and say, all right, well, I don't want to spend the $20,000 on a new machine or whatever. But you guys don't have that option.
Yeah.
And you got to make it work for the day or fix it quickly. Of like, okay, how can I make this happen within the next couple of days, so I'm not losing a week worth of production, especially.
Oh my gosh!
Especially as we scale and stuff like that.
Every minute we're down, especially we're running 2 shifts right now. So I mean, you lose one day of a 2-shift shift. I mean, it's a lot of candy you're missing out on. Everybody's getting pushed back, and you can only push back so often. So call offs, machinery and equipment going down, those are huge problems specifically for us in our everyday, for sure. But I mean, what does it look like for you on a problem-ridden day? What's your phone
especially
calls?
not just like your real estate and that Kimtan, but also we got boss man as trustee, and I'm sure that comes with its own set of headaches.
I mean, that's actually it's kind of like being like a little bit like a glorified like landlord, really, because you're taking. I mean, I'm taking calls all the time from citizens. With their problems. A lot of it is rental problems. Or neighbor disputes. I mean, it is very similar to real estate.
That makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense. Until you get into the political part of it, but like
zoning issues.
trying to help the residents. I mean, and I think my background in real estate is really helping. Because somebody, they think their sewer's all backed up, but really, it's their sump pump or something. So I'm able to, troubleshoot all kinds of stuff.
That's
with
great.
Neighbors, thinking, and then a lot of times, it is on the township to where we have to come in and, either make a sewer pipe larger or smaller. One thing in politics, though, it drives me nuts, and I still can't get it, is all these damn studies. Okay, I know that it's this pipe. We don't need to do a
study. We can see the problem.
Yes, it's
like,
crazy.
You know what? You were correct. It was the pipe. Like, I told you that 12 months ago.
It's crazy, all the studies.
Oh, man, yeah. I was wondering, like, really, what was it like going from citizen to trustee? Because, like, for me, politics is something that's rough for me because I like to speak my mind. I think so. Sometimes, a lot of the time. So it would be really hard for me to be in a government elected position because I'm super passionate. So, I mean, how is that going from citizen to government official?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that. I'm definitely, what I learned is I'm not a politician. Like, I'm up there and I'm talking. People are looking at me like, wait, what do you, and I'm up there actually trying to figure stuff out, what's best instead of like,
let's get to the point.
Yeah. Instead of like trying to push it off onto somebody else. That's one of the reasons I ran for office. I was so sick of not getting a clear answer. I'm like, well, let me try to figure it out.
Oh yeah. I feel like that's
whose water responsibility is this?
Yeah.
Right.
Whose is it? It's gotta be somebody's.
Whose phone number do I need to call? I mean, it's impossible to get a hold of people.
So nobody, I couldn't get any answers. And that's one of the reasons I ran. And, because that surface water runoff's a big ordeal.
Yeah.
Especially at Kim Tam. So now since I've been in there, we're putting into place like, different numbers to call. Okay, so if this problem happens, boom, let's call these people. Let's call these people if this happens. So we can know what to tell citizens. I mean, I hate not being able to tell them what to do because nobody knows because they're so used to saying, oh, it's their problem.
Yeah.
It's,
and then that person's going, oh, no, it's their problem.
Right. Someone else's problem. Okay, so it is their problem. Do you know that for sure? All right, let's call them up. Let's have a way to work through it.
I remember it was, I think around wintertime when, I don't know if you've ever been down High Grove. I know you have, but like the potholes were so bad.
Oh man!
And like at first we called the township. They're like,
bad.
We're right on the border of Akron and Springfield. So for us, it's like it's Akron's problem. We call them Springfield's problem. We're like,
I just need to know whose problem it is.
I just need to know who I need to talk to. I don't even if somebody's problem, like just tell me which direction to go in, so I at least know. Okay, this is where I need to go.
Yeah.
They love passing the buck.
It's got to stop somewhere.
Yeah, I mean it's got to.
I think that's the hard part too. Is like I'm a doer. I'll just put it on my back, do it myself. And when it comes to stuff like getting your road repaved, it's that exact problem. Who do I call? And if I call them, am I getting a voicemail or am I getting a person? And then, it still takes a year for you to get anywhere. And so then you're kind of like, well,
right. I mean, everything's, about funding, we have a roads levy coming up here.
Okay.
And, we have like a 20-year outlook on roads, so we try not to go more than 17 years per road in Springfield without doing anything other than,
Right.
So,
you should take a drive. Take a drive down High Grove for me because they patched
they patched
potholes,
a lot of the bad ones, which was nice. But
you're not losing a wheel, but it's still wearing down your shocks on your car.
Oh, yeah, listen, I'm a motorcycle rider, so you hit some of these holes, you're gonna wreck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they were some big ones last year. I mean, the winter is how it is in Ohio, but it was almost to the point where I was like, this might be an ODOT problem. This is a little extreme. So that's a big thing for us. But I mean, so back to like your real estate and everything like that. What current projects are you working on? What do you got going right now?
Right now, I don't have any real estate projects going on now. I'm doing a few things over at Kim Tam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually putting in a full-time ice cream place out in the front.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to be open year round. And I also have a 9-hole putt-putt golf going in. Yes. So it's going to be like a up-to-date, so the very first hole, you have the ball, and it's like a Plinko board. It goes down.
Awesome.
And so it's
that's great.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting.
Griff's been begging me to go putt-putting for a year at least.
I'm going to start going by myself.
Yeah.
Right.
We went to Niagara Falls, and he's like, let's go to this putt-putt place. I'm like, we're in Niagara Falls.
Indoor, black light putt-putt is like, I mean,
yeah, you got
it might all be the same, but I'll need to try it somewhere else just to make sure it's all the same.
Yeah.
Right.
What if it's different?
And then we go to Vegas, and he's like, putt-putt? And I'm like, listen.
Okay, that one was a Kiss. Kiss Land has indoor putt-putt. I'm like, we got to go to that.
Yeah.
But this guy makes like every putt. He's good at it. I'm there for another 2 hours after he's finished.
There's leagues out there. You ever get in a league?
I don't know. That might be too itch for my blood.
When I was in MMA, there were some guys in a league that would go all around and
It does sound
telling
fun,
me about their putt league.
Yeah. So what's your plan for Melanie Lake over the winter? Because, you guys.
Yeah, you've been working on a lot. I know we have.
Yeah.
I know you've been working on like the Browns games that you're putting on there. I know Saturday nights or Saturdays are other teams that.
Yeah, right.
Griffey won't mention.
I'm not allowed to say due to my religion. So
our big pavilion, I got it all. It's going to be an all season pavilion now. I got sides on it that I could put up after the season. I just got done remodeling all the bathrooms and it's gonna
That's all you really need. I mean, for a Browns tailgate, most people have less.
So,
really.
And I've heard there's beverages there as well. So as long as you have that bathroom, the beverages and those TVs up, you can any sporting event, you can make it happen.
Griffin will be there. He will be there on Sunday. That's what Griffey's vibes. We usually sit in our garage, so same vibe probably, but different. Yeah, that's awesome though. Especially for winter time. You've got like a polar plunge we're thinking about.
Yeah. We have a polar plunge that we're gonna start putting together here.
Is that to benefit your nonprofit?
Yeah, to benefit Melanie's Gifts.
Yeah,
that's a nonprofit. I came up with that. Keep Melanie's name alive, and
absolutely,
that's great. I love that.
To give back to the Springfield community, I think it'd be great way to do it.
Yeah, especially in her name.
And I know we've kind of been talked about it a few times, but I know that polar plunge, Arnold's Candies team plans on being there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll show
up. Matt's trying to get me to jump in off the high dive.
I'm trying to see you go off that high dive.
Yeah.
As much as I can. No matter how much I got to donate,
Freezing
it will be there.
Better have a heart fibrillator. I don't know.
We'll have a lot of lifeguards on duty that day, standing there.
If anything, only shock you back into rhythm how cold it's going to be, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, have a breather, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that cold plunge. It's rough.
Oh.
It's rough.
I love a good adrenaline rush. We're the type where if we're traveling somewhere or something, there's a zip line, we're on it. We like to be a little more risky. We're entrepreneurs, so.
You're right.
Got to adapt to the risk.
Yep, that's it.
All right. 32 minutes in, you guys think we got some good stuff?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it.
I'll do a closing out. Cool. All right. Well, that finishes up episode 1 of All Our Problems podcast. Thank you so much to Jeremy for hanging out with us today.
Hey, man, I love the spot, man. It's cool, man. I love the name of your podcast.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
You're going to get plenty of guests on here because any owner has problems.
That's what I'm saying. All of us.
And it ends up being a lot of, no matter where, kind of what your business is, what you do, we all have some of the similar problems, no matter it's maybe a little different based on the situation, but we can all relate to each other based on something that's going on. We're like, oh, I remember I had that exact same thing happen.
Yes.
Or I had something similar happen and I did this. I'm like, oh, that's a cool solution. So
I'm honored to be the first guest.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks. Might as well have a pro.
Anything you would like to say before you get off? Anything you want to plug? Any of your projects that you want to get out there? Or?
Yeah, you guys check out melanielake.com. Definitely go to there. We have some cool specials coming up for Black Friday. We have Alice and Kim Tam event coming up for Halloween.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, So if you still need a pavilion and you want it, any time of the year, we're going to have the big pavilion. So
awesome.
Somebody just called me yesterday and they're going to have a huge fish fry this coming Saturday. So.
Oh, I'll be there.
So yeah.
We love a good fish fry.
It's now open to the public. We shall be there.
Yeah, we're inviting ourselves. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll have you back again. Without a doubt. So.
Yeah. Listen, you guys. I'm a big fan of you guys, and
thank you.
I'm going to be following you guys. I could see a Kim Tam. Melanie Lake version of
do a little promo together,
Candies.
Get something going on.
Yeah, I think we can make that happen come springtime, maybe. So everybody who follows Melanie Lake and Arnold's Candies, be on the lookout for potentially some things that could be coming out between the two of us.
I would like that.
So
get some good spring water candy going or something. All right. Well, thanks so much again, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Appreciate it.
See you.